Hey Bucs fans, welcome to the Bucs Report Show. I'm your host, Rick Hughes. I'm excited about tonight. I got so excited about tonight, I started this thing a couple of minutes early. I am jacked up. What a big day for the Bucs, and we're going to get into that, and I do believe it was a big day for the Bucs. Something I'm excited about. We will talk about the signing of Giovani Bernard. We will talk about Julian Edelman. We're going to get into some other things here. We've got a whole lot on our plate tonight, so I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to have a special guest, Dennis Phillips from ABC Action News, and we are going to have Joshua Cole Allen stopping by and others. It's going to be a fun night right here on the Bucs Report Show. This is where it's all going to go down. I'm excited about this. Let's have a great freaking night. I want to hear from you guys. As always, a little bit later in the show in our segment called It's Your Turn. And that's when I give you guys the platform. And in the meantime, I do read the comment section and I will refer to it from time to time. I do keep in touch. I do keep an eye on what's on your minds. So please, by all means, let me know what you're thinking. If you have questions, if you have comments, drink recipes, anything, go ahead and put them in the chat area. All right, guys, I am excited about tonight. Like I said, there's the signing of Giovani Bernard. Giovani Bernard is, for those who are not that familiar with him, 29-year-old running back. He's been playing with the Bengals. Now, this guy is a beast when it comes to catching passes. This guy is a beast when it comes to picking up the blitz as a running back. Basically, he's a beast at everything the Bucs need somebody to be a beast at. The things that they struggled with last year, the little holes that they had in that part of their game, this guy fits like a puzzle piece. It's amazing how well this piece fits into this roster. Now, it does bring up a challenge for Ronald Jones, to put it mildly, and we'll get into that. We will talk about that. There's a lot for us to discuss. There's just there is so much. Let me say this, Dre Long says this pickup makes no sense. We have good running backs. Dre, we do have good running backs, but this guy catches passes like our running backs do not. Since he was drafted, he has the third most receptions of any running back in the league. This guy is a beast at that, and he can pick up the blitz and protect our quarterback. That's a very big, big deal. He's awesome at that. And we know Ronald Jones has struggled in those areas. So the thing is this, while we do have good running backs, there may be a change. There may be a change coming. And I don't know, but it feels to me like the writing's on the wall for Ronald Jones. I'm not really sure how that's going to play itself out, but I don't see how Ronald Jones fits in really at this point. I could be wrong. He could end up starting in week 1, but I don't know. He had the 12th most receiving yards last year. Bernard did 355. That's out of running backs. Since his rookie season in 2013, third most among NFL running backs in receptions, targets, and receiving yards. Look, Brady loves to target his running backs. And Brady is dropping back and throwing a lot more. You need a running back who can pick up the blitz. You need somebody who can handle that. Remember at the beginning, Lattimore from the Saints was talking about how we know what to do. We're just going to put the pressure on Brady and he'll get rid of the ball as quickly as possible. Well, the thing is this: when you have a running back that can pick up the blitz, you just bought Brady two things, and I love doing that. Two things. You bought him time. But even bigger, you just bought him confidence. You gave him security in that backfield. And that's a very big deal on this team. So, do I think this was a big pickup? I think it was a very big pickup. Do I think they got better at this position? They got much better at this position. I think this guy is. This is a puzzle piece that fits so perfectly. Herman Jenkins says, "Do I think we need AB?" Okay, there's a complicated answer to what looks like a simple question. You used the word need. Do I think we need AB? Look, I think this team can win a Super Bowl if he's not on the roster, but he performed well in that late in the year and in the postseason. So, do I think that the Buccaneers need AB? I think they really want AB. And I think AB will come around. I think it's going to be after the draft, most likely. But I think AB will come around. I think when the market is gone, even more so. It's not like there are teams clamoring for his services and willing to pay him everything he dreams. So, let's wait and see what happens. I think he'll be back. I think we're getting a little bit of drama. He'll be back, I'm guessing. I don't have confidence that he'll be back, but I have confidence in the team even if he's not. So that's sort of my take on that, on AB and how I feel about AB and all of that. There's so much about that entire situation that's up in the air. He does still have legal issues to take care of, so you don't even know if you're going to have him the whole year. Sneaky suspicion you will, but not even sure. So, I mean, there are a lot of things around that are it's not like you have this monstrous amount of security in AB anyway. It's not like you feel about AB, oh man, this guy's gold, and we know we can count on him like you can count on Evans, or like you can count on some of these guys that are going to be there. Although Evans, you never know with those hamstrings. But I think it's very, very, very important that we see this team continue to grow. And what happened this year, and this is what's funny, everybody's been talking about how they signed all 22. They got all 22 of their starters from week 1 back. And if they get AB back, they're gold. The team didn't settle for that. This team got better today. This team that beat the living tar out of the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl got better today. And you always have to get better, because if you stay the same, the other teams are going to catch you and pass you. And you can't let that happen. And the Bucs showed today their drive and hunger, that they want another Super Bowl. And that's what I'm excited about. I am very, very excited to see what's going down with this team. The drive, the determination. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see. This is something special, guys. We're in the middle of we get to go along for a very fun ride here, and we're pretty fortunate with everything going on in Tampa. So anyway, I'm very, very excited about that part of what's going down. I know that the Seahawks and the 49ers were also hard on the case to try to get Giovani Bernard. While they were trying very hard to get Bernard, really, do you want to go to the Seahawks or the 49ers, or do you want to play with Brady and the world champs? This is the Brady effect. We've talked about it over and over and over. But this is it, guys. This is where it all happens. I said a few weeks ago on my shows, I said, watch, people were not even thinking about. There's going to be a knock on the door at One Buck Place, or the Advent Health Facility, or whatever they're calling it right now. There's going to be a knock there, and you're going to find people you are not expecting are going to end up on this team. And here we have it. I mean, and it's not that it's not like I'm some brilliant rocket scientist. I'm anything but that. I watched it happen in New England for years. This is what's been happening in New England for years. How many times did you, as a Bucs fan, look at the Patriots and go, how do they keep doing this? How do they keep getting these guys? How does this keep happening? This is how. This is how. He signed a 1-year contract that was very team friendly. And he fits like a glove into this franchise. At least as far as on the field. From everything I hear about the guy and everything I've read about the guy off the field, he's also going to be gold. And I can tell you, having personally worked for the Cincinnati Bengals organization, I can tell you this guy's got to be thrilled with what he's leaving and where he's going. It's sort of like I don't know, it's like leaving it's like leaving a Kia dealership to go work for a Jaguar dealership. You know, I mean, it's really that big of a difference. And it's exciting. It's amazing. This team has so much depth. Now, Jeremiah Hafner, you bring up a question about Edelman. We're going to get to that. I promise we're going to get to that. That's coming. But, yeah, it is coming. Matt Colson said, Light and Bruce are starting the crazy scientist DraftKings mode. Watch it work. He is. It's insane what's going on in Tampa and how they worked this. Do you remember before Brady ever signed, there was a comment made by Bruce Arians, I believe it was during the Combine, where he said, somebody said, well, how would you like to get better? What would you like to do? I mean, who would you like to have a quarterback? And he threw it out there. He said, well, Brady. And I don't think it was considered tampering. A lot of people said that's tampering because Brady's, going to be a free agent. That's tampering. That's, because he said it before free agency began. And I think they didn't consider it tampering for one main reason. It was obvious. Everybody wanted Brady. He's Tom freaking Brady. So, yeah, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, of course we want Brady. This is not, I don't know that it's tampering. It's stating the obvious. But I also think that little sentence and a couple other little notes that he dropped, I think those are the reasons that all of this has taken place. I think those decisions and those comments way back at that point, it's like a domino effect that today Giovani Bernard signs with Tampa. So I don't think it's a simple process. I don't think it's something that happens very, very, I don't think it's something that takes place without putting a lot behind it. Okay, so you get Giovani Bernard. Why would Giovani Bernard come here if they didn't have Brady, Gronk, all of these other people? Why would he come at that veteran minimum to come play with fill-in-the-blank quarterback other than Tom Brady? This is such a big deal, guys. The fact that Tom Brady is here, and the cascade effect of all of this. Now, let's get to New England fan, guys. Let's talk about New England fan. Julian Edelman retired. He's probably never going to see the field again. He's probably, of course, I have to qualify it because Gronk did retire. But Edelman failed a physical. Edelman is pretty much unable to play football this year. So when we're asking questions about Edelman, is Edelman coming? Are we going to get Edelman? Can we get Edelman? This whole, we got to get this guy mentality. Listen, you're not, guys, he's probably not coming here, okay? He probably can't come here because he can't play football right now. All right, it's a fun little thought. It's kind of exciting. It's a fun little thought. But listen, we're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are this is a team put together so dynamically and amazingly and wonderfully that if you don't need AB, who's healthy in his prime and one of the best route runners in the history of the league, you definitely don't need Julian Edelman, who's way past his prime, physically a mess. It's going to be that's how it works. There are certain times that when you're not expecting something to happen, good things happen. There were rumors every free agent that comes out, somebody's going to be able to say, I told you they were going to sign him, because every free agent that's out there, somebody's going to link to the Buccaneers. That's where we're at in this franchise, in the journey. We're at a point where it doesn't matter who's a free agent. Teddy Bridgewater, he's not a free agent, but he's going to get traded. They're going to link him to Tampa. All right. Alex Smith, they're going to link him to Tampa. I mean, the only people you're not going to get a link to Tampa are people like Deshaun Watson, because no starting quarterback is going to come here right now. Nobody who's that sure of being a starting quarterback, no successful playoff kind of starting quarterback is going to come play behind Brady. And you see posts from time to time. Let's try to get Aaron Rodgers now, because if we get Aaron Rodgers now, then that'll be awesome. He can play behind Brady for a year or two and then step in. Guys, that's not how it works. It's not how it's going to go down. So, look, there are times when something like this goes down and you need to count your blessings. Now, maybe you're not that familiar with Giovani Bernard. Let me tell you something. These are difference makers. These are the guys that at the end of the year you look back on and go, wow, that made a difference. That guy helped. That was big. And what I want from you guys, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what your thoughts are on all this. In a little bit, we're going to have a segment called It's Your Turn. I want your comments, but what I want you guys to do tonight, and I want some new folks to call in. Assuming I have my phone hooked up correctly, I think I do. It hasn't fallen or gotten disconnected today. I think it should work tonight. I want some new people to call in. I want to hear from some new folks. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your thoughts. And I'll put the number up here in a little bit. But this is something I want from you. I want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. This show is all about you guys. And there's a nickname I have for you guys. You're the Parrot Army. Pirates have parrots. We all know the pirate on the ship in Tampa. Okay, you guys are the Parrot Army. Why? Because it gets a little crazy in the chat, chat stream there on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. It gets a little crazy. And what do they call a flock of parrots? A group of parrots? Pandemonium. That's what they call it. And it can get that way in the chat. And you guys are a lot of fun. And I want to hear you guys interact. I love your interactions. I love your comments. This is stuff that to me this is the fun part. Guys, that's what I feed off of. So it's important. You guys are important to me. This show is nothing without you guys. So please, please, please comment. I absolutely love you guys. There are so many of you that I see that I recognize. Matt Colson, Teresa, Johnny Dean, the professor, who hopefully we can even hear from later. We will see what happens. Apparently, we're going to have a very special guest tonight called, he goes, Mr. Bucs Nation is going to pop in the show later on tonight. And I am very, very excited to speak with him. So this is going to be, guys, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun ride. So let's keep talking a little bit more. I'm waiting on, at any moment, we could have Joshua Cole Allen hopping in here. I'm excited to speak with him. Now, I want to talk about Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater, he's supposedly getting interest from several teams. Talks are happening with several teams. Denver was the latest rumor. Everything's flying around. The thing is this. Don't buy too much into these things you're hearing right now. Maybe they're true. Maybe they're not. What happens is this. Let's say you're an agent and you're a player, your guy, he's not getting a whole lot of attention from other teams and he wants to be traded. He wants to get out of his current situation. You have to create demand. That's your job, is to create demand. It's the exact same thing as saying, well, everybody wants him. It's the exact same thing that you see in advertising all the time, where it's this vibe that, well, of course you want this. Everybody wants this. It's marketing. It's really basic. Just like anything you buy, the clothes you buy, the shirts you buy, when it's cool. I don't know what I'm old. I don't know what's cool right now, clothing wise. Obviously, okay. I don't know what's cool right now, clothing wise. But there are things that from time to time, this pair of shoes is cool, or that pair of shoes is cool, or this shirt, or these pants, or whatever. You never know what to expect. I mean, things that would have never thought would be popular all of a sudden get to be popular. And that's how it works with agents. Okay, agents, they'll stir up interest in a player. They'll stir it up and make it look like more teams are interested than actually are, hoping to get more teams to think, oh, we better start to act. We better start to get involved. Now, I want to bring a very special guest in here from ABC Action News. This is Mr. Denis Phillips. How are you doing, Denis?
Hey, how's it going? I'm new to working with you. What's your name again?
Yes, my name is Rick. Rick Hughes.
How you doing, Rick?
Yes, sir. Yep, you're new working with me. I'm new working with you. We'll get through this. I'm excited to speak with you tonight. You are very knowledgeable. I've been listening to you on here, and you're very, very knowledgeable. And that's the cool thing, that there are fun guests, there are knowledgeable guests. Rarely do you get both. And that's kind of what's fun about having you on here. I'm excited about that.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, back in the day, I always thought to myself, do I want to be a weather geek or do I want to be a sports guy? Because I love both. I love weather and I love sports. And, as I got older, I realized a lot of sportscasters have a background in sports where they were either ex-players or whatever. And I thought, you know what, I'll stick to the sciencey stuff and figure maybe I can make a living that way. So that's kind of where we are. But I still have a real passion for sports.
Well, you have a real knowledge about it. You can tell that's something that from listening to you speak, it's something that you bringing to this audience, I'm excited about.
Well, so, I've got a background. I mean, I listened to some of the guests here as well. And, back in the day, I lived about a 45-minute flight from Vegas. I worked in Los Angeles. So you used to be able to fly from Burbank to Vegas for $29 on Southwest. And let me tell you, I spent many a day and night and week at the Stardust, which was it no longer exists.
Right.
Blown out, but that was really where the lines opened up usually. I mean, typically the NFL lines would be set at the Stardust, and I had a learning experience there. I mean, I could tell you stories. You sit there and you just watch the characters, and you listen to the people, and you can learn a lot by doing that.
That's when Vegas was fun.
Well, that's when Vegas was Vegas. The old days.
Yep. So I want to ask you now. You know about Giovani Bernard signing today, and I think he's a perfect fit for this team. But the question that it raises for me is, what do you do with Rojo? Is the writing on the wall?
Yeah, I mean, Rojo. First of all, Bernard has been one of those guys that, if you're a big fantasy football guy, and I am, every year at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of people who are all in on him because he always had all this promise. But there's some guys who just always seem to get hurt, and Gio is one of those guys. I mean, he always has been. Now, is that because the O-line for Cincinnati hasn't been doing their job? Has he been trying to do too much? Have they not had much of a quarterback, to offset? There's all those question marks. But I'll tell you, Rojo, this entire offense in terms of the running back has been so difficult to get a grasp on because remember earlier in the season, Rojo was the guy, then Fournette came along. And everybody was thinking right off the bat, the minute they picked up Fournette, they're like, all right, he's the new number one. And he wasn't, right? And then all of a sudden, Rojo got hurt. And Fournette went right in and started doing very well. But then after a couple of games, he started to flounder. And they went back and forth. So I'll tell you, to me, I think, by the way, Keyshawn Vaughn has a ton of potential as well. I mean, he's like, one of those guys, the younger guys who you just think down the road, there may be something there. So I think the way they're looking at it is, I don't believe there's going to be a number one. I really don't.
Right.
I still think that Rojo, I mean, you're right. With Fournette and Bernard, you got to figure Rojo is not in the picture, which is kind of surprising because he did have flashes last year where he could be the guy. Before, he had a tough time holding on to the ball. And that was always a big rap against that guy.
Does that kind of give him value, though, come April 29th through May 1st? Does that give him a little bit of trade value? I mean, or do they believe in Vaughn?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if they believe in him, but I think they'll get more value from Rojo than they would from Vaughn. I think Vaughn is one of those players that you just wait and see what you have. I don't think they should be giving up on that guy yet. And I don't think they. And I think you're right. I think in terms of maybe making some trades to shore up the O-line, maybe making some trades just to get to stock some draft picks, Rojo might be that guy, because I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there in the NFL who saw those flashes of brilliance and with Rojo and think, you know what, this guy's young. He's still got a bright future ahead of him. Maybe he's going to be our guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I get the feeling they're saying, I'm not sure we believe in Rojo at this point. Now, everybody loves Rojo, and I've got a theory about this, okay? I think Rojo, there's a part of him, people love Rojo because his name's Rojo. I mean, that sounds horrible, but I think it makes him marketable. But his performance, I mean, yeah, he basically, all right, he was 1,000-yard rusher last year. Okay, yes, not quite.
Crazy
yeah,
he was. Like that, because he didn't seem like one, did he?
No, but and now, I mean, you got to figure with 17 games, everybody's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher. But but Fournette, I think, wants to be the bell cow back. I think they're going to give him that role. I think Bernard is incredible at catching passes out of the backfield. That's what he's there for. He's not there for running. He's there to catch passes. Third most in the NFL since he came into the league. 12th most in yardage last year in the league for running backs and catching passes, just receiving out of the backfield.
He was hurt a good bit of the season too.
Yeah, and to me, the big thing for me with him is his ability to pick up the blitz. And to me, that brings two things to Brady. It brings him, number one, he's bringing not only the ability to catch balls out of the backfield, but he's bringing confidence that he's safe to throw to other receivers when he's got him back there picking up the blitz and picking up the guys that are coming in. Not that Brady lacks confidence. That's not. I don't think that's ever been an issue, but he's got that security now. Brady's very quick at getting rid of the ball when he has to be. I mean, as I think about it, I think, wow, if Brady has even that little bit more time, that's scary. I mean, they just.
A couple things with that. First of all, I mean, Gio's injury prone, and so is Fournette. I love Leonard Fournette. I mean, the guy, coming out of school in his first year in Jacksonville, you just kind of figured he was going to be a superstar. He always had those nagging foot injuries, which didn't really seem to flare up too much this last year. But everything I've read and everything that I've heard from people who know a heck of a lot more than I do said that they just don't think Leonard Fournette is ever going to be the back that he was a couple of years ago. I mean, these are pretty knowledgeable. You've Greg Cosell. Mm-hmm. Who is Cosell's nephew, and the guy knows his stuff. He's been doing this for a long time. And I remember just hearing the last couple of weeks about him. They said that he looks like he's tiptoeing through the tulips when he comes up to the line. He doesn't have that burst that he used to, and whether it's because he's been fighting nagging injuries for a while, maybe he's afraid of getting hurt. And again, it's only a 1-year contract, right? Fournette signed a 1-year contract. Was that the case?
He signed a 1-year contract. So did Bernard.
Yeah. So you wonder. So that means that tells me that the Bucs aren't sold necessarily on the fact that he's going to be a long-term. I think the word bell cow for Leonard Fournette, as much as I would like to believe that's the case, I don't think that's the case. I just don't. I think this last year worked really well with the hot hand. We all thought it was going to be Rojo and Fournette. Sounds like it might be Gio as the third down back and maybe Leonard on a first and second. And I think you're probably right. Maybe they're looking for trade for Rojo. And then Keyshawn Vaughn is kind of the wild card in all of that. So,
And are they just also thinking, all right, we'll just keep Rojo on the back burner one more year? I mean, he's a nice little security blanket, I guess. But then,
the two guys who are injury prone, because they are. I mean, Gio is injury prone. I mean, period. Right. And Fournette, even though he made it through this last year better than previous years, the guy still has a history. So maybe that's the thought. Maybe you're right. Maybe they keep three backs, although Keyshawn Vaughn would be that third, but he's unproven. So you got to wonder if he would really be in the mix for that as well.
Right. I mean, LaShawn McCoy is gone, so maybe he's sort of filling in that position on the roster. So I don't know, but to me, it's like hand in glove. His skill set is exactly what the Buccaneers seemed to lack last year. He doesn't need to be a bell cow back. He doesn't need to be that guy. He doesn't need to be, I mean, he's perfect for the role. So I don't know. I mean, specialty backs are no longer much of a thing, but I mean, when you're using neither are pocket quarterbacks, so it seemed to work out okay.
Might not be very good for UF's starting quarterback. I mean, that guy, he's a pocket quarterback if there ever was one.
Right.
And I wonder if his stock is going to, although I have two Gators, two of my kids graduated from UF, and I used to live in Gainesville. But
Gators.
I'm a Penn State grad, so neither here nor there. So that's why I was always about Chris Godwin anyway. But
that's funny. Those are my two favorite college football teams. So we're good. Yeah, them and UCF. But yeah.
So I think that at the end of the day, to me, it just seems like it worked so well this past year, running back by committee. Why not? Why mess with it? And you bring up a good point too. The days of those backs, and I thought Saquon would be that guy, and he hasn't been because he's been injury prone. Who'd have think that CMC was? I think the days of those backs that come out of college that are a sure thing. That I think the NFL is realizing they just can't do that because they're just they don't have the shelf life that wide receivers or quarterbacks do.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now the other big news from the day, Julian Edelman. And of course, Bucs fans immediately went crazy online. You want to talk a little bit about that? And
I'm going to tell you a story about that. So I'm sitting here getting ready to go on the air at about 5:20, and I'm sitting here in the Weather Center. And over at the anchor desk, Lauren St. Germain, who's one of our anchors, she's from New England. She's a huge Patriots fan, and so she's sitting there looking on Twitter, and apparently she read something on Twitter that was sounding like Edelman was going to come to the Bucs. And she looked at me. She's literally, her eyes are like bulging. Oh my God, Dennis, the Bucs got Edelman. I thought to myself, wait a minute. Evans, Godwin, Miller, Johnson, Brown, maybe Fitzgerald. They don't need Julian Edelman. And I'm sitting there talking to them. I don't understand that, but because it was the same premise that everybody was like, Brady brought Gronk with him, so he's going to bring Edelman with him too. There was that 20-minute window where Bucs fans were freaking out saying, we're going to get Edelman too. They weren't even thinking, what in the world will we do with this guy who's always hurt and pretty old as it is? I think I lost your audio. I'm not hearing your audio. I don't think that's me.
No, that was me. So yeah, that to me is funny. It's very much, I laugh about it because when I see them, anytime anything happens, I always say that the first thing when there's a free agent, so everybody starts screaming, we got to get him if they've heard the name. It doesn't matter who it is. But with Edelman, I'm cracking up because the guy literally failed a physical and cannot play, and people still wanted him because they've heard his name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and, there is the history of Gronk. I mean, I think in Bucs fans' minds, they're thinking, well, Gronk was hurt, and he hadn't played for a year or two, and it worked out well, so why wouldn't it work out for Edelman? It's just a completely different thing.
At least there was a year or two for him to heal. This guy just failed a physical.
Yeah, exactly. and I will tell you, my prediction, I thought Gronk was going to be a complete bust. I was totally wrong. I thought he was going to get hurt. I thought he would have back issues because, usually with back issues, those just don't heal, especially when you're getting older.
Yep.
But man, I mean, you got to remember. I think too, a lot of the latter 2/3 of the season, he didn't do a lot. Right. He was a blocking back. They were using him to block, and he was doing fine with that. But he made it through the season, and it's more than I thought he would. So hey, more power to him.
What happens with OJ? With OJ Howard this year? I mean, is he going to continue to be all the potential?
One of the minority. I mean, the guy had potential. You're right. Keyword. I mean, out of Alabama, everybody was talking about how the guy was a physical specimen and how he had all the skills, and he just never. And this year it was to me, the best catch that the guy ever made was the one when he was at the Rays game and he caught a foul ball.
That was his best catch. That absolutely was his best catch. There is no doubt. It was one of those things where he's like standing there, look, and I'm thinking, oh, now.
Yeah. So I mean, he might just, maybe he's one of those guys. See, this is what I think about Sam Darnold. The same way, maybe he's just one of those guys that needs a change of scenery, and it happens. We see it all the time. I mean, granted, Sam Darnold's problem is not that he needed to change the scenery; it's that he needed to get the hell away from the New York Jets.
Well,
because, I mean, the Jets are a bad team, and players who go play for the Jets, they die.
Adam Gase,
right? But I think OJ might be that same kind of player that maybe you get him into a Falcons kind of a lineup. Or maybe that makes use of the tight end better, or maybe even the Chiefs when Kelsey retires. Because Kelsey's getting up there as well. So I mean, he had an amazing year and he won my fantasy league for me. But that was by far his best year, and you have to wonder if he can repeat it. So I think I hate to give up on OJ Howard and his talent, but maybe that's just one of those things that for whatever reason it didn't work, and maybe it's in his head a little bit that it's not working, and you get to a brand new environment and you completely turn it around.
Yeah, I think, with OJ Howard, to me, I think the guy's got enough talent to where if he can stay away from the injuries this year, and you're not counting on everything from him, and the Bucs did for a while. Let's see what can happen. And okay, last year is just yet another example of, hey, look at baby now. Oh. I mean, that's sort of the tale of OJ Howard at this point. But you never know. I mean, if you recall, there was one guy who was really, really good with, who was okay playing for the Chargers, but then he went to New Orleans, and all of a sudden, you end up with one of the best quarterbacks in history. Maybe that's what I think about Sam Darnold. I live in Charlotte, okay? I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. The people here, I heard nothing for my first 6 months here about the Panthers. People are going nuts for Sam Darnold here. I'm
funny. Out of college. Go ahead.
No, I'm like, really?
Well, out of college, he was the guy. I mean, being a Penn State grad, watching him in the Rose Bowl, and the guy had all the accolades. I mean, he really was supposed to be, but he's only, 23?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a kid.
Yeah, he's actually younger than Joe Burrow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I think he could still be an exceptional quarterback. I'll tell you, what really blows me away is the whole Deshaun Watson debacle.
Oh.
Because I honestly thought him wanting to get back to that area where you are, knowing his relationship with Clemson, and somebody who lives in that area told me that there were still more Deshaun Watson jerseys out there than anything else because he was just revered. And now, however all of this plays out with him, we'll see how that.
I'm not sure. I had no idea it was going to happen. I made comments. I've made comments on my shows about how I see no Panthers gear anywhere in this city. I see Steelers gear everywhere. No Panthers gear. It's something I've not been able to explain. I just moved here 6 months ago, and it was confusing to me because there's Steelers and Ravens gear everywhere, and I'm guessing they were probably pretty close to the closest team other than the Falcons, and nobody likes Falcons. So I think
it's crazy. Steelers, you just wouldn't think.
Yeah.
Ravens, you would at least think, okay, well, they won a Super Bowl recently, or at least more recently, But I grew up not liking the Steelers,
right,
or the Cowboys because I was a Baltimore Colts fan.
I'm thinking them and Washington were the home mark. This was the home market for the Steelers on one network, and the other was Washington on the other. So I'm thinking that's how that took place. And all of a sudden, though, I'm talking in the last week and a half, people are talking, and I see people around that are wearing Panthers gear all of a sudden to the point, and I've asked, I said, wow, where have you guys been? And they said, yeah, we're all pretty excited about Sam Darnold. I was like,
well,
we got Brady, just saying.
Yeah, right. I
Just
mean, I don't
saying.
know. If your running back comes back healthy, and McCaffrey is
Yeah.
obviously an amazing stud.
Yeah.
Boy, and talk about something that was unexpected. Also, I mean,
Yeah.
coming to college, who saw that coming?
Yeah.
Just and again, as a
Yeah.
fantasy football guy, the guy was the greatest thing in the world. So,
Yeah.
you never know. Sam Darnold might be the answer, but at the end of the day, the Bucs being able to re-sign their entire team. I
Yeah.
mean, so much kudos to management for being able to get it done. And I'll tell you, also kudos to the players, because I've said this when I've been on the show many times. I think it's pretty rare that you find, I mean, especially after you've won a ring, because if you've got guys who are on the, near the end of
Right.
their career and they've got a ring, at that point, I could see them maybe wanting to play for another ring. They've already been paid. They've already got
Right.
their money.
Right.
For a lot of younger guys who still are trying to earn that payday that they think will last them a lifetime, that should last them a lifetime,
Yep.
all of a sudden, those guys we're hearing are taking a little less money or a lot less money, depending on who it is,
Right.
to play on that same team with that same coaching staff to win another ring. That shocks me.
Yeah.
The culture must be so amazing, because I don't know a lot of people, me, you, and anybody else out there, who would take that much less money to play for a winning team when you haven't been paid yet.
Agreed.
At least numbers that you can make.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dennis, I want to thank you for coming by tonight. I'm really hoping you do this again. Loved having you here.
Hey, I get a text every now and again. I don't even know who it's from. There's a text. It's like, hey, you want to be on the show tonight? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Well, thank you for coming on and making this place a whole lot smarter.
My pleasure. You guys have a great night. We'll talk soon.
You have a wonderful night. Thank you. All right, everybody. That's Dennis Phillips from ABC Action News. And yeah, boy, that guy knows his stuff. That is the sportsman. Forget the fact that he does the weather for just a moment. That is the sports guy. He is very, very smart when it comes to that. So let's do this. Let's bring in, speaking of getting smarter, speaking of more knowledge, speaking of all of this, Joshua Cole Allen, the guy who breaks the news, brings in all this info. It's fantastic to see the stuff you're doing. Joshua, thank you for joining.
Absolutely. Love to be here. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Listen, right after you, we have Mr. Bucs Nation coming in here, and he's supposed to be here in about 10 minutes or so. So I'm gonna have to run at that point. You are welcome to stay around, but I don't want to keep you. So okay, but so let's get into this as quickly as we can, because there's a lot to talk about. We got a lot to unpack. Giovani Bernard, want me to just say ready, set, go? Giovani Bernard, go.
We spoke about him on Friday on the show as one of the possible pass-catching running backs that were still available. We mentioned Rex Burkhead. We also mentioned Duke Johnson. Giovani Bernard was one of those guys. And for them to bring him in, and not just bring him in, from all reports from Tom Pelissero, it was Bruce Arians and Tom Brady who are really campaigning for him. And I heard you mention, too, that there are other teams, the Niners and also the Seahawks, interested in his services. Well, reports from him say that he was holding out hope that the Bucs would come around, because this is where he wanted to be. And with Brady and Bruce Arians pushing for him to come down here, looks like a match made in heaven. This is one spot on the team that the Bucs sorely missed last year, was a pass-catching running back. He caught 47 balls last year for 355 yards and 3 scores. So very reliable guy. On 57 targets, I believe he only had 4 drops. The Buccaneers' backfield as a whole had close to 20. So you're looking at a guy who's sure-handed and can really come in here and give you that presence that they missed, and that's such a part of Tom Brady's passing game.
Yeah, it's amazing. And now you're a New England guy. You probably had to laugh when you saw this today, when Julian Edelman was released and everybody went nuts. It was like you threw a grenade into the middle of Bucs Nation, and Facebook lit up. I mean, it made me laugh. Talk to me about Julian Edelman.
I may have one who threw one of those grenades out there with a little bit of eyeball emojis. Julian Edelman, he's one of the hardest working. The guy was a quarterback, came into the league as a 7th-round pick, turned into a wide receiver. Had to get his feet under him a little bit, but once he did, wow, was he an amazing guy. an elite route runner. It was very rarely you could match up someone that would be able to cover him one-on-one in the slot. Truly defined that position. And when you think of guys who played the slot over the last 10 years, Julian Edelman's name is mentioned right there with the best of them. Super Bowl MVP, 3-time champion. He retired, yes. But did he file the paperwork? Well, because November rolls around and it's 7 months away and he's feeling healthy and everything. And let's say there's an injury on this team.
He's probably not going to be feeling healthy, though. From everything we're reading, it's that his knee is out. I mean, he's out for the year. That's everything I keep reading, and it's
everything I said was he couldn't play a full season. Now, I doubt it's going to happen. Listen, this is me like going out like on a limb here, like dangling. But
no, it's a reach. You're having some fun. It's a reach.
It's a reach and a half shell, turtle power. But
there's a reason. There's a reason we call the Bucs Nation over here pandemonium. Yeah. It's from moments like this when we get them all stirred up over Julian Edelman. But
I mean, it's until the paperwork's filed. You never know. He's a football player. He's a competitor. One of the most fiercest competitors I've ever watched in my entire life. Yeah. And if he's feeling good, that knee's feeling good because he's been working out hard trying to get back into football.
Yeah.
If he takes a few months off and then starts the rehab and it's like, all right, he gets that itch. We heard Gronk almost came back the year prior because he had that itch. If he gets that itch and he's feeling good, that knee's feeling good. All it takes is a quick phone call to his good buddy Tom, and Tom walks in the office and says, "Hey, Jules is feeling 100%.
Where are you putting this guy? Where are you putting him?
You make room. He's a punt returner before as well. He returns punts.
Nothing like a punt returner with a bad knee. Hey,
this is obviously this is if there's an injury. I'm not saying just go out and bring him in and cut whoever for him.
Right.
But if there's an injury and he's hanging around and he's feeling good and he calls up Tom and I'm feeling healthy.
You never know.
You never know. It's a huge stretch. I'm not saying it's going to have by any means.
Yeah. Now we need to just get the Danny Amendola talk going, and then we're good. I'm going to bring. I'm going to get going. Are you're welcome to come back or hang in the lobby, whatever you'd like to do. I'll leave that up to you.
What time?
15 minutes.
Yeah, I got to run. I might be able to pop back on a little bit later.
All right. Hopefully, I'll see you. If not, where do people find you?
You guys find me on Twitter at Joshua_C_Allen. Find me on Twitter. Find me on Bucs Report. I've got a couple articles out, including my mock draft. Maybe I'll pop back on and we can talk about that. But there's tons of stuff going on. We welcomed 2 new writers today. Announced our partnership with Locker Room. We'll be doing. Maybe I can get Rick on there. We can do some live exclusive shows on there. But
yes, you can.
A lot of things happen. Tell James I said hi. I always love another guy with the same last name as me. So I'll talk to him a little bit, my man.
Have a great one.
Yes, sir. You too.
Thank you. All right, guys. Now we're going to bring in Mr. Bucs Nation. This is I'm very happy to have you on here. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good, Rick. Thanks for having me on. I think this is the first time we've ever been together on a show, so I'm very happy, man.
I am too.
I've seen a lot of your stuff on YouTube, and I love the shows you do, man.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Look at that shirt. That is beautiful. That's just that's a sexy shirt.
Thank
you got
you.
you got the Derek Brooks from a few years ago, that black Bucs jersey, that what alternate color jersey. Yeah, I had
I'd actually had that. I won that in a giveaway from Stank from the Fucking Idiots podcast.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then this is my old Bucko Bruce. It's seen better days. I will say that, but still pretty solid.
Well, listen, I'm old enough to where I actually used to wear that to school, to elementary school. Okay, so I've seen better days as well. So I'm a little washed and worn.
Oh, come on now.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So talk to me about Giovani Bernard. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, so I actually talked about this earlier today. Did like a little YouTube short thing. I think that it is a really, really, really solid signing. Bucs fans, all across have been talking about this basically since the start of the offseason in terms of needs. And there wasn't a ton of needs besides bringing back, a lot of the Buccaneers' own players. But if there was anything that they could have used, it was a pass-catching running back. And there were plenty of options out there, right? Like Theo Riddick was out there. Giovani Bernard was obviously just released just a little bit ago, but James White was out there. A lot of people wanted James White. They needed that element of having a good pass catching running back, because it's what Brady excels at, is having a guy like that. And, Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, while they're not, I would say, bad at pass catching.
Well, they were last year. Let's be honest. Yes, they were.
They certainly could have had better options, and they've got that option now with Giovani Bernard.
Yeah.
It came at kind of a weird time, though, considering, Ronald Jones is still on the roster. They just re-signed Leonard Fournette, and the quote came out recently of Bruce Arians saying that Keyshawn Vaughn was to have a breakout year. So it's kind of like...
I feel like the writing's on the wall for Rojo.
Yeah, this is a pretty crowded running back room now.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
There's worse things to happen. Right. Gosh, we got too much depth. That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
They have a former first-round pick, a former second-round pick, a former third-round pick, and now a really good pass-catching back in Giovani Bernard.
Yeah.
They've certainly got options. I've always been a supporter of Ronald Jones. The guy almost had 1,000 yards rushing last year if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. It's going to be really interesting to see how this running back room shakes out here for the remainder of this offseason and, going into the regular season, because there's so many guys who deserve snaps right now. So I think this is a good move. I think that it was probably a necessary move. But now it got even more interesting with that running back.
Yeah, I think it's funny to me watching this team. It's becoming like when you watch an all-star game and you're looking on the bench at all the guys cheering that are sitting on the bench, and you're like, holy cow, look at how good he. Oh man, he's so good. He's on the bench, and you're looking at this. This is what this team's becoming. I mean, it's really, it's crazy when the biggest worry, and this makes me laugh. The biggest worry the Buccaneers are talking about is who's going to be the number 3 receiver.
Right.
I mean, that's really like, oh man, who's going to be the 3?
And even then they have options. You still have Scott Miller, you still have Tyler Johnson. It's like, I mean, even a lot of their depth issues, they have guys who can potentially fill in that role. So I mean, this was just kind of another move where it was just kind of like, all right, cool. It's like another luxury signing almost.
Yeah. So I want to go in a direction I have not talked about yet tonight, and I want to bring this up, and it's a weird direction, but it's somebody who's again reared their head in the news, talking again about the Buccaneers again, and that's Gerald McCoy. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's just an amazing thing. Gerald McCoy came out and said a couple of days ago, hey, I just want y'all to know I still got that fire. I really want to play. I want to play, and I want to play bad. And I'm just saying, I still talk to the Glazers, and I have talked to Bruce recently, and I'm just saying, and it's just somebody who now I have to confess, many of you on this show may not know my thoughts or feelings on this subject matter. I'm not a fan of Gerald McCoy. I cannot remember one play by the guy in all those years. I can't name one play by him. I can already tell you several by Sue. Okay, interceptions that he ran back for touchdowns, whatever it is. I still am not so sure. Okay, if he would be okay being depth. How do you feel about that?
So, first, where did he say that?
Oh, now you're going to do that to me. I'll get it to you. Keep talking, I'll get it to you. Keep talking, and I'll find the info for you.
Okay, so I wasn't asking for the sake of like, come on, is that really a thing? I just want to know so I can. I'm interested in that, because that's an interesting quote for me, because I remember he had said a while ago, I believe on like WDAE or some interview he had done where he had said, hey, I'd love to come back to Tampa Bay. That was I believe a month or two ago. And, I'm going to go the exact opposite, Rick. See, I've always been a pretty big supporter of Gerald McCoy. I think he has gotten a bad rap at times, which, we don't have to delve into all that. But like you just said, you mentioned it, would he be okay being depth? That's really the only way I see a scenario like this working is he would have to compromise a lot. and it's no secret. I'm sure the guy, he wants to chase Super Bowl ring with his old team. I mean, one of his best friends,
Right.
Devontae Davis, still on the team,
Right.
but he wouldn't be able to have his old number. 93. That's Ndamukong Suh's number.
What are you talking about? He was mad that they gave it up. That they let Sue have it.
Well, that's what I mean, is that he would have to compromise.
Right.
He wouldn't be able to have that number anymore.
So the quote, by the way, the Tampa Bay Times, it says, and I'll read this to you exactly. For me, I just love this game so much. It's still fun to me, McCoy said Monday by telephone after working out with trainer Todd Durkin. I love competing. I just know what my mindset was going into last season, and I don't want an injury or what the NFL deems age to be derailment or to finish like that. I know I can still be an asset to a team, whether it's sparingly, as a starter, in the locker room, whatever it is, in training camp, a mentor to the young kids. I just know I have so much more to give this game, even for a short period of time. And then he said, I was feeling better at the end of last season, but then he goes into how he still speaks to the Glazers and Arians.
Okay, see, now that's interesting, because I was just about to go ahead and say another compromise that he would have to make is, and you had said it as well, Rick, was, he'd have to be a depth guy.
Right.
And it sounds like he'd be willing to do something like that.
Yeah.
I think that he could be a good locker room presence. I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think, he could be a good mentor along with Sue and Golston, to teach up some of those young guys.
Right.
But he would have to make some compromises with the number and the role that he would have.
Right.
Personally, and I can't speak for Gerald McCoy, I'm only assuming here, it seems like, after he left Tampa Bay, that might have humbled him a little bit, being away from the team, dealing with injuries, having a bit of a down year, with, I believe it was the Panthers, right?
Right.
I think that he's been humbled in a way, and I think that when he left, obviously there was a little bit of frustration there, and, he felt like he wasn't respected. But I think now he kind of has taken a couple of years off and has kind of realized, oh, well, just know my role. And, if at my age it's to be a backup kind of rotational pass rusher defensive lineman, then that's what it is. And I'd be fine with that, to go back with my old team.
There are two guys that I would say very similar. There's a very similar problem here with two different guys. And I'm going to say the word, and I know it's almost like anathema to use this word here, but I'm going to go ahead and mention Jameis. Okay. And Gerald McCoy. Their biggest issue, on top of some performance on the field, the biggest issue was their mouth. I mean, Gerald McCoy, the things that he said on the way out the door, and when he got to Carolina, you remember the video of him running out on the field with his arms spread wide, saying, I'm home, I'm home, I'm home. Those are things that fans don't forget. And now to come back and want to say, I want to come back home, you mean Carolina? I mean, what what do you mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's certainly, like I said, I think that it would be a pretty decent move. You can never have enough veterans, and it seems like McCoy would be possibly willing to make some compromises in terms of role. And, I don't know what kind of money he would take. He'd probably take a pretty cheap contract. The big thing that has me going, I don't know if this would work, would be the number thing. That would be a big thing.
I think he knows at this point. If he's watched the last couple of years, and he has, because he would love to get a Super Bowl with this team. Right. I don't even think it's a question. I think it's one of those. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Sorry, I said that kind of thing.
Right. So I think that it would be a solid move. I would welcome it with open arms. Like I've said, I've always been a big Gerald McCoy guy, supporter of his.
Right.
And I'll tell you this. I would love to see a photo of Sue, McCoy, and Vita Vea all on the field together, lining up on that team. That'd just be a cool photo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would kind of get. It's not exactly.
Who are you moving out off that side, though? I mean, you're really gonna try to.
I guess you would put out, I'm not saying for every play,
Right, just one play, watch it happen.
Give me one play, because obviously Golston would probably still be very heavily involved, and Nacho as well. But I mean, it'd be kind of weird to be like 3 generations or 3 time periods of defensive linemen, just
and then you bring Brady out there, and
right.
Now you've got 4 generations.
Right,
Brady's like the great grandpa on the field. It's kind of funny,
right? So I mean, like, I think it would be cool just to see Vita Vea, McCoy, and Sue all together out there. Just kind of 3 Bucs D linemen who have all gotten, Sue gets a lot of praise, Vita Vea gets a lot of praise, Joe McCoy, he has gotten a lot of praise in the past. He's also gotten a lot of, hate in the past. But it'd just be cool to see all 3 of those guys together.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you something. I'm going to throw a curveball here and go in a whole different direction. It's something that I think is really bizarre that I read, and that is on Monday Night Football. Now, this is a whole different direction, okay? This is talking about the broadcast booth and talking about something completely different. But I want to get your feelings on this while I have you, since it's the first time I've had you on here, and now I can have some fun with this.
Absolutely. They
offered Charles Barkley a halftime gig on Monday Night Football, and he ended up turning it down. Now, your reaction was exactly my reaction. What? Charles Barkley? But then when I look back and I see how they've had former comedians in there, how they've had so many different people from so many different walks of life go into the booth, because Monday Night Football is not so much football as it is entertainment.
Right.
And it's a halftime gig. I'm not so sure it'd be a bad idea. And I started thinking, wow, he'd actually be fun with that. I mean, do you have any thoughts about that?
Man, that's weird. Because, I mean, like, Charles Barkley, one of the better basketball players in NBA history, doing an NFL show, that would be weird. That would basically be the equivalent of, like, Peyton Manning going and doing an NBA halftime show.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like a fit for me. Like you said, Charles Barkley, he's an entertaining guy.
It's halftime. So
yeah, and it's halftime. I wonder what capacity they would have him in, because I don't think that they would have him be in that capacity where it's like, it's a halftime show, and we're gonna, kind of review what the first half was. Charles, what's your thoughts on?
Oh yeah, I think they would say that, and I bet you he'd as a fan, because he's everyday guy. He comes off, that's sort of his role, even on NBA shows. He's that guy. He's the everyday guy. He's the, I'll use the phrase, he's the guy in the cheap seats. He's the guy that just is there to talk to you. Have a beer with you and talk about the game. That's what I think you'd get from him. And I wonder if that wouldn't be kind of a fun mix. I mean, with what they're doing in the booth now and everything, they need help. I mean, something's got to happen, because it used to be fun. I mean, you're pretty young. Let me tell you something. I remember the day when Monday Night Football was must-see TV. It was something you looked forward to watching and hearing the guys and seeing what was going to happen. And now it's just... And I guess it's because everybody's so careful about everything that they say. Right. It's sort of like, everything is vanilla.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I can't say that it wouldn't be interesting, because my gosh, it would be interesting to watch. Charles Barkley, he's also, I can see why he turned it down. He's probably just too busy, to be honest. He's doing he's doing crap kind of stuff in the NBA.
Right.
Instead of Charles Barkley, I know this guy's also just as busy. He'd probably turn down. Just get Shaq in there. Shaq does so many things already. Just throw him in there.
Right. But now are you going to tell me that wouldn't at least be interesting?
It would be interesting, yes.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's crazy. It's a crazy first thought. When I first read it, I did exactly what you did. What? And then I was like, huh. And I started thinking, but it got me thinking.
I'll tell you what.
Who would you bring in who could make this more entertaining?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If he's not in a permanent capacity, bring him on for one Monday night game. I just want to see that. That could be interesting.
Well, and the reason I knew I was safe asking you about a crazy question like that, and if you knew how badly I want to zoom in behind you and see whatever that picture is with the mustache.
Oh, that's Tom. That's Tom.
What's that story?
So, long time ago, I had a fat head of Tom because I like Tom Brady,
Right.
And I remember I had it, a couple of buddies of mine were messing around. We ripped the fat head and it just got destroyed. And I was taking it off the wall, and literally just perfect cut right there where the head is. I didn't even mean to do that, and I thought, wow, this looks kind of funny. So I just had the head for a while, and those like fake mustaches you can get at like the dollar store.
Yeah.
I had one of them, and when I was younger, and I was sitting there and I was looking at him, and I looked over at the Tom Brady head, and I thought, let's see how this looks, and it looks perfect. You can't see it, but Tom has his tongue out in the fat head thing as well, just to add to it. Actually, Rick, here I'll show you this too. During the Super Bowl, we had we did a giveaway where there's a joke, a meme, if you will, on the YouTube channel where I do live game reactions every Bucs game. I'll sit there and I'll watch the entire game,
Right.
And I think a little around midway point of the season, I started talking about, you ever been to Miller's Ale House?
Yeah. Many times.
Love Miller's Ale House.
Yeah.
And me and my girlfriend, we go to Miller's Ale House, and I always get the Zinger Mountain Melt there because a friend of mine introduced me to it, and I'd actually photoshopped a photo of Tom Brady on my live stream of him holding the Zinger Mountain Melt. So for the Super Bowl, I got with a printing company, and I made a giant canvas of Tom Brady holding a Zinger Mountain Melt. And we gave one of these away on the Super Bowl halftime show when the weekend was being weird. Yeah, we gave away one of these. So a lot of weird stuff with Tom Brady here in this room. But I think it adds.
You definitely fit in here with Bucs Report.
Right?
I gotta tell you, it's you're welcome home. I mean we are. We all think like. Do you live in Tampa?
Yeah, well, not in Tampa specifically. I live more down in the St. Petersburg area.
Okay.
Born and raised here in Florida.
Okay, because I used to watch every Bucs game for many years in Atlanta, in Miller's Ale House in Atlanta.
Yeah,
and,
it was an ongoing joke, and actually, funnily enough, the game I put that up was the first game of their just incredible winning streak, and they never lost after that.
It was because of you.
Yeah, well, it was because of Miller's Ale House and Tom
just
Brady.
just take the credit and run with it. Okay, it rarely happens in life. Go ahead and take it.
Right. So I'm if Miller's Ale House ever sees this, I'm still waiting. I'm still hoping for a sponsorship.
Waiting for that royalty check.
Right. So, yeah, man. So yeah, a lot of weird Tom Brady jokes going on here in the background.
Yeah, that's what I was like. What in the world am I looking at?
The best part is whenever I do like a video or a live stream, and somebody goes, "Hey, James, just a quick question. What is going on back there?"
Yeah.
I go, don't worry about it. It's Tom Brady. Have you ever seen Tom?
That should be just a running joke. Do something different every time to that thing. Put little even if you're just drawing on the whiteboard. Put antenna like he's a Martian. Just every time you come on, do something different with it. So
exactly, man. So yeah, it's cool little jokes.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I want to thank you for coming by. You are awesome. I mean, you really are fantastic to have on the show, and I really hope you are willing to come back and visit with us.
Of course, thanks so much, Rick. It was awesome to hang out here for the first time. Hopefully, more to come.
There will be.
I will see you Wednesday. I believe.
Wednesday?
I believe so. I believe we're doing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. It's for an upcoming show on Bucs Report.
Okay. How about that?
Yeah, so that's exciting. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
awesome. Awesome. I don't have that info in front of me at the moment, so you threw me on that one. Looking forward to seeing you.
We keep each other on our toes, Rick.
That's exactly right.
Oh my goodness. So thank you so much, man. Hey, you have a great night, and thank you for having me on again, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Take care. All right, that was Mr. Bucs Nation, Mr. Bucs Nation is, he's smart, he's fun, he's obviously got the right personality to hang around these parts. I'm very, very glad that we had him on here, and he better come back. But now, guys, from all of you out there, you guys have all been very patient waiting, and I want to hear from you guys, and I want to hear from some new folks too, not only the usuals, okay, but you guys too. Okay, I want to hear from all of you, but some new folks, I want you to get involved here as well. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to put the phone number up, and you're welcome to call in, hopefully. I have this hooked up right this time. There you go. You are welcome to give me a call, and let's make sure I have this up and running correctly this time. So if someone wants to give me a shout because I want to talk to you guys, here's how this works right now, guys. I'm going to give you the platform because right now it's your turn. All right. We have our first caller. Oh, good. This makes my day. Todd, can you hear me?
Yeah, Rick, how you doing?
Excellent. Todd from Winter Park. I am so glad to hear from you, Todd. Love you, brother. You are a Bucs fan going back. You're from my hometown. You're from my hometown, and you go all the way back to the beginning like me, so it's good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've been busy, but I'm sorry, but I just got home, and I said I turned you on, and I saw you with Bucs Nation. I watch his show every now and then.
Yeah.
Very, very bright young kid there.
Absolutely.
He's spot on.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do like the signing of Bernard.
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but
so far everybody's positive.
I don't know if he's the runner he used to be. I mean, he's got 8 years. He had 8 years with the Bengals. Mm-hmm. He had a terrible offensive line, and he still managed to play pretty good. So, right. But he is a good receiver out of the backfield, which is what Tom Brady loves, and I think he's going to help us.
And he can pick up the blitz, which is something that people need to recognize. That's going to be huge because that's what we lacked last year was a running back who was really good at picking up the blitz.
Right. So now I guess this rules out us picking a running back in the draft. Now,
does it?
If I talked to my best friend who goes to the Bucs games with me, mm-hmm. and we were texting each other and talking about it. Now, if Najee Harris is there from Alabama, I would think that you almost have to take that guy because he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, you either take him or you trade so someone else can and stock up on picks. But yeah, I mean, you look at the guy and think, okay, look, you've signed Fournette for 1 year, you've signed Bernard for 1 year. What do you got next year? And that might be exactly what you're doing.
Jones' contract's going to be up too, right?
Yeah, Jones's contract is up, and let me ask you. I mean, I know you like Rojo, but let me ask you this: who do you think is going to be a better back in the NFL, Rojo, or do you think Rojo's upside is higher or not quite as high as Najee Harris?
Well,
it hurts.
I hope Peter's not watching. Listen, I do like Rojo, but I want to say something. And I know Harry the Greek and a lot of these guys. I don't think they'll agree with me. Peter, I know won't. The victim of volume, but Leonard Fournette did not play good during the regular season. He was there. He came in and spotted Rojo when he needed a breather.
Yeah.
But when the playoffs came, Leonard Fournette stepped up.
Yeah.
And that's the guy I saw in Jacksonville that got mean, was running over people, and he had that attitude where he didn't give a damn if you ran over you or not.
That's exactly right.
And not taking anything away from Rojo. Rojo runs hard. He had some great runs this year, and when he's on, the kid is on.
Yeah.
But when he's not, he is. I think with Rojo, I think he's got to get more consistent. Now, to your question about him and Najee, I think Najee's going to have a great career.
Yeah, you got to think that there's a bigger upside with Najee Harris,
especially if he gets with a team like us, who has a strong offensive line,
right?
And can open up holes for him. Oh boy, it would be scary for the NFL.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you that now.
I honestly believe that so much of Rojo, as funny as it sounds, and I know, guys, it sounds like I'm joking, but I think so much of everybody's love for Rojo is the fact that he's got the name Rojo. It's such a it's such a great, lovable, likable nickname. Who doesn't want Rojo to succeed? So I think people end up kind of, I don't know, you start liking a guy like that, and yeah, that's the same thing. It was the same thing with Doug Martin with the muscle hamster. Who's not going to like that guy, right? And then, but when it comes right down to it, I think as you look to the future, there may be a better future out there.
So. Well, you know what? Let me say this about Rojo. Rojo's first year was not fair to him. He wasn't used right. I don't think Dirk Cotter gave him a chance. And then, you get Bruce Arians to come in there, and the kid steps up. And then, last year if he hadn't got hurt, he would have had 1,000-yard season. Rojo would have. So Let's give credit where credit's due. No. But I still think deep down that Leonard Fournette is the better running back. Well, not taking anything away from Rojo, because I like the kid.
No, I just think he's a more complete running back. I feel like Fournette's a more complete running back. But I mean, I get it. It's not. I don't hate Rojo by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just sort of
not at all.
He's not the guy to pick up the blitz and protect Brady, and that's huge. And it's so undervalued. People are going to look at it and say, "Oh, his yardage." They're just going to say he's not going to have as many yards as Rojo. No, but our quarterback's not going to get killed, and that's kind of important, And I mean, really, seriously, when you say Rojo didn't get 1,000 yards, 1,000 yards is literally 62.5 yards per game. All right.
But it's the perception of that running back gained 1,000 yards. It's a perception in the NFL that, hey, that running back had 1,000-yard year. Now, you're to your point, you're absolutely right. But that's a perception in the NFL that they base it on now. Is that guy had 1,100-yard year. Right. And they're looking at that. They say, okay, this running back had a good year.
Yeah, it's at a point, especially now with 17 games, when you're talking 50-some yards per game. I mean, it's got to be like 1,400 yards or something before I'm going to start really paying attention.
Right. And, when Doug Martin was there, Doug Martin had a good year.
Yeah.
And the problem with Doug Martin is, I think, sometimes kind of the same problem with Ronald Jones. And again, not taking anything away from the kid. Doug Martin would have a good year. The next year, he'd fall off. Where is he?
Well, Rojo to
me,
Doug Martin to me had a different problem.
He did.
Yeah. And his we'll just say off the field extracurricular stuff. Rumor is that's where the problem, came from. And I don't know. I can just say, here's the thing. I don't care what the guy's name is. I don't care if his name is marketable. I don't care about any of that. I just want to win the games. And there's only so many there's only so many roster spots. And what's just amazing, and this is what I said going into all of this, is people have to realize they re-signed all 22 of the starters, right? We can all be happy about that. We can be excited about the fact that they re-signed all 22 of the week 1 starters. That's great.
Right.
But understand this, and I said this before today's signing. I said, guys, there's going to be knocks on the door at the Advent Health facility saying, hey, guys, let me in, from different free agents that we're not even thinking about yet. There are people who are going to end up on this roster we haven't thought of yet. Okay, there's a whole draft coming up that we have no idea how that's going to play out. So,
well, that's true. That's true. Excuse me. And free agents want to come here because of Tom Brady, because of Devin White, because of Levante David, because of Pierre Paul.
Right.
I mean, these guys are not. These guys are big name guys. Soon. Yeah. And I heard you all talking about McCoy. You know, I think McCoy could come in there, and with the defense we've got, I think you'd see Gerald McCoy step up and really be an asset to us. I mean, he could spot people.
There's a little bit of a feel good.
We need depth there, and we're going to be losing these guys soon that I'm talking about. Pierre Paul and Sue, they're getting up there in age.
Well, so is McCoy.
How many more years have they got left?
Right, so is
and
McCoy.
Levante.
Right. But, you know, Todd, the thing is this. McCoy doesn't play the same style of defense, and that's where the problem comes in. McCoy is not a run stopper, and that's where the problem comes in.
No, he's not.
And he wasn't getting a lot of stats. Here's the thing. You have him. He was not a great run stopper, and he didn't get a lot of sacks. Yeah, he's quick off. He's quick off the ball. Okay, great. He's has a
he's got a quick first step.
Right,
but
great.
He never got enough sacks. He never, like you say, he never was. He's not the run stopper that Sue is.
Right. So what is it?
If you ask me who is better, I know who's better. I know I'd get some arguments on this, but Sue is much better than McCoy. I hate to say it. Yeah. I love Gerald, but Sue is better.
Yeah.
And you remember those guys? Did they go 1 and 2 or 2 and 3?
It's not even close. I can tell you plays that Ndamukong Suh has made as a Buccaneer. I cannot name one highlight in all those years from Gerald McCoy. So I don't know. That's just something. It's just something to think about. Todd, thanks a lot for joining me tonight. Thanks a lot. It was your turn.
Rick, I appreciate it, brother.
Yes,
Keep doing the great work, okay?
Thank you, sir.
If you happen to talk to Peter, I hope him and his family are safe and healthy. And
I will pass that along for sure. I will do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, guys. Now next up, who wants to come on? Come on, guys. It's your turn. It is your turn. It's the phone number is there, and now I'm also going to put in the chat box. I'm going to put a link. You can come on audio or video, and the platform will be yours, where you get to give us your opinion about all of today's goodies. And I want some of you new guys. Ben, get out here. Ethan English, come on, man. Come on, audio. If you don't want to call in, I gave you the number there. Somebody call and let me hear from you. Let me hear some new stuff from you. Someone called while I was on the phone with Todd. But if you guys get the chance, come on, call in. It's your turn. I want to hear what you think about Giovani Bernard. Here we go. We got someone calling in. Matt from Oklahoma. How you doing, brother?
Great. Man, I wanted to say hi. I'm not going to get on video tonight because I don't feel like it. But
that
I
works.
wanted to say hi. Enjoyed the show. We don't need Edelman. We don't need Geraldine. We got what we need.
I'm kind of with you on that. I'm really kind of with you on that.
I'm amazed at how quick the tide ebbed on the news that Edelman was cut before you put out the retirement announcement. That little hour and a half, I guess. Everybody in the world thought he was coming to the Bucs, and I know.
Just immediately, it just exploded online, didn't it?
Yeah, it was nuts. And then, then he finally comes out and says, "I'm done." And had he not made that announcement, now everybody's still not done. They're like, he's just going to lay out for. That's what Joshua was talking about, fanning the fire. He's going to lay out half the season and then come back like Gronk did. I just don't think that's a thing we need to worry about. And hopefully, once the draft starts, we won't have to be having these kind of silly conversations again.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much news that happened today, though. I mean, it's crazy all of a sudden it's been quiet, and then it was like chaos, complete chaos really quickly between Bernard signing, Edelman, all kinds of information about Bridgewater all of a sudden hitting. Gerald McCoy comes out and says he wants to come back. I mean, it was a kind of a crazy day, but it's good to see they're still out there.
Yeah, I didn't know who this running back was that we signed because I don't follow Cincinnati very much.
Right.
But apparently he's got a pretty good career and is utilitarian. And like you say, he can catch and block.
Right.
And that's really what we need. That wasn't Rojo. So you know me, I'm not.
Well, Rojo's not gone, and we're talking about Rojo in the past tense like he's already gone. Rojo's not gone.
No.
Right.
But I just think that he doesn't fit the need that we have.
That's what I feel about him. That's exactly what I feel about him. I feel like it's not that Rojo's a bad running back, and he may be very good somewhere else. I'm just not sure he fits here. That's the thing I wonder is maybe the location is the problem. Maybe that's the thing. And Nick, by the way, Nick in chat just said, any word on AB yet? No, and I don't think we're going to hear anything until after the draft.
Right. AB's going to sit there for a while.
Right.
And they're doing that on purpose. They're trying to leave their options open. They've only got so much money, and they don't want to commit it to them yet.
Well,
I can see that if you look at it from a business standpoint, it makes sense to just let them sit there because nobody's jumping on it.
Look, we got OTAs coming up here. We have OTAs coming up, and if he wants to take the OTAs off, he might. This literally could all be him holding out and doing this and saying he wants more because he doesn't feel like going to OTAs. So now he can sign after OTAs and go, okay, well, I would have been there, but I wasn't signed. I mean, there's
right.
Who knows?
Well, and in that profile, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, it's up a lot of people's profile. I mean, that's not that unusual for and I wouldn't be shocked if Tom Brady and AB aren't sitting around eating popcorn, hatching this plan, and going, "Hey, man, why don't you take the OTAs off because we got you. We know you're not a problem." I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if they already know, if everybody's got this all figured out. Teresa Baxter just said something that I think is hilarious. Send Rojo to Cincinnati. He can take the place of what they just lost. So yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome.
That's like wishing him to hell, though, isn't it? I
mean,
that's next to the Jets. That's the worst place you could land.
Yeah, that is pretty much the worst place you could land. That is pretty much.
The one thing out of this whole today's name dropping that they were doing, the one that I'm intrigued for, and I would like to see it happen, is Bridgewater come here. And I've said, I've said this 1,000 times, but if there's really an interest and we really are serious about taking him, I know they got to do certain things so they don't have to pay him and whatever, but I'd like to see them pull that trigger and leave him here as like he was in New Orleans.
It's intriguing.
Second string.
Yeah, it's intriguing, but my thing with this is why I want Blaine Gabbert as the backup. I have a very, very, very specific reason that sort of makes me, I'm going to say, fairly strong in my belief that I want Gabbert as the backup and not Bridgewater or someone else. We heard Carson Palmer talking about how quarterbacks, it's a struggle in their first year under Arians. I want someone who's confident, secure, knows the offense. There's no issues with that. And he's, everybody sits here and calls and puts on Facebook, and there's all this information about, we got to develop somebody under Brady. We've got to develop somebody under Brady. We just had a guy for a year underneath Brady, who's also been with Arians for years. This is a guy who was a 10th overall draft pick. This is a guy, it's not like the guy lacks talent, okay? No, he's not going to be a world beater, but I really think that people are not giving Gabbert the credit or the look, this defense held the Chiefs to 9 points in the Super Bowl. Gabbert can get the Bucs 10 points. Okay. So
Well, yeah, when you put it like that, you're right.
Yeah, I firmly believe Gabbert is the right guy. I know there's somebody else that is holding on right now that I think has a pretty strong opinion when it comes to Gabbert. Let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, Matt, and I'm going to go to one more person. Okay.
All right.
Man. All right. Have a great night. Thank you for all the comments. Keep them coming.
All righty.
All right. I appreciate you guys in the chat room, by the way, big time. I really, really do. That is something that I do pay attention to. At times I can't talk about it. At times I have the chance to. And when it's your turn, step up, guys. Come on, step up. Let me speak real quickly here before I bring our very special guest in. Not that you're not very special, Professor Johnny Dean, but Johnny, how are you tonight? Johnny, it's your turn, brother.
All right, man.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, man. I got so hot about that Gerald McCoy stuff. I needed your bomb to explode so I could do a Johnny rant there for a minute.
Yeah. Let's just say we'll be back tomorrow night.
You hit on that Barkley thing, and I was like, I didn't even think that was big news, so I went and started looking into it.
Yeah,
and that's something like in 2002 or 2003, Barkley was invited as a guest host on Monday Night Football.
They just did it again.
Yeah, and then I started looking into it, and then I posted his comments there in the chat.
Yeah,
he was basically all he said was, "Man, I'm not a football guy, and I'm not going to be one of those guys who pretend."
Yeah, but they also offered it to him again this year. It wasn't just in 2002 and 2003.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think it's interesting. I think he'd bring some entertainment value.
He might. I don't know. I like Charles's attitude about if you don't know it, he's not going to talk about it.
Yeah,
and he's a basketball guy. And he admits to that.
Well, they've had comedians in the booth. I mean,
right. Well,
so it you never you never know. There are guys from all different arenas. I mean, I remember them saying, "Can you really think Al Michaels can do this?" I mean, I remember all of that, and Al Michaels was great. So I think this year. I hope they pull something off. So
my last thing about Giovani Bernard was Teresa Baxter hit on it. A couple of years ago, I was using Giovani Bernard, and he racked points up like a madman in fantasy football.
Yeah, that guy is. I feel like he's a hand in glove for what this team needed.
Absolutely, I do.
I'm actually really excited about that pickup, and the fact that great. Okay, so they re-signed all 22. And they just got better, and now get this. So they just got better, and oh, by the way, we still have the draft in front of us, and there's going to be more free agents that get cut. There are going to be more people that are freed up after the draft. There's more coming.
Want to talk about his age and stuff, but Giovani Bernard comes from a system, the AFC North period, but he comes from a system that runs. You know what I mean?
Well, he's 29 years old, right?
A lot of carries, man.
Yeah, he's 29 years old. I mean, this is a guy that can.
That's pretty old in the NFL, but still.
Well, 30 is the magic year that you supposedly, lose production, but they're not asking him to even be the starter anymore. And what's Adrian Peterson now? He's like 35 and he's still doing it. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
I'm very happy with that pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. Oh, we had a special guest who just disappeared from the lobby. I'm not sure what happened there. Yeah, I agree. What do you think about all the Edelman stuff? I mean, were you laughing when that all? You're laughing now, so yeah.
Yeah. That's insane.
It was literally like somebody pulled the pin on a grenade and threw it out there, and Bucs fans
Edelman
just from silence.
12 years of hard hits, concussions, a lot of brain trauma there, man. If he signed back with anybody, it would be to retire. That would be the Patriots, and he already retired with them, right? So
yeah, it makes me laugh. It does. I sort of had to giggle because last night I was making the comment about how Bucs fans are just silent, and the moment Edelman got released, it was like, holy crap, where'd y'all come from? I mean,
what's funny is Matt Coulson messaged me that today. And when he said it, he said, "Well, this should stop all the Edelman talk." I said, "Do you realize you're talking about Bucs fans, right?"
Yeah, it just started it. It just started the Edelman talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it literally just it just got cranked up, and I had to laugh. It was like, where in the world? But oh well. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you, Johnny. Thanks for coming on.
All right, buddy. See you later.
Yeah, you have a good night. Thank you. All right. And Johnny, as always, Mr. Professor, thank you for the comments. Mike DeRoche, my friend, thank you for all of the comments and the interactions. You guys mean tons to me. Nick, thank you. And all of you guys who are in there chatting away. I am watching, and I am, a lot of times the conversation changes and everything around here because I'm seeing what you guys are talking about and is leading me in that direction. So I appreciate you guys. Please keep that up. Please. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, guys, to me, as I watched the news break today, and what I want you to do is I want you to look forward, okay? I want you to look forward and start to realize this is the beginning of what's going to be of new people coming into this franchise. And let's bring a special guest in here, very, very special guest. I'm excited to have him. Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay, and you ain't kidding when you call him that. He is the best of the Bay. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, Rick, brother. I just, I realized I didn't have my face all made up. I got home from work, and I had no foundation or eyeliner, and I was like, I'm going to go with the trooper look tonight. But, no, I'm just glad to be on tonight. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How are you feeling about this Giovani Bernard pickup?
Another dimension, and I like what you said, Rick. You put it so succinctly. You said that the team got better today.
Yeah,
and they really did. They really did. Giving them
how scary is that?
That's just another added dimension with the catching out of the backfield. And this kid went to Thomas Aquinas High School down in Miami when he was recruited. Coming out of high school, was one of the top recruits in the nation. And just phenomenal player, and goes to Cincinnati, and he's on the witness protection program for 8 years. And I
don't know about that because he was sure catching a lot of passes.
Oh, he did good, but then they luck into Joe Mixon, who also is a very good running back. But so it seemed to push Gio. I kind of got pushed out of their plans a little bit. So while we're looking over at James White trying to figure out a way to catch a running back that can catch out of the backfield, we got Bernard in here now.
And this is exactly what I said, Ray, about how it's going to be people we're not really looking at. There's going to be somebody released from some team somewhere, somehow, that we haven't even really been talking about that's going to end up on this team. Okay? There's somebody we're not really paying attention to that's going to end up on this team because they're going to get cut. It's going to be a surprise. They're going to want a Super Bowl ring, and boom, they end up here providing depth. I mean, there are so many things. There are so many ways this whole situation can go. I mean, you think, okay, well, how are they going to afford him? Well, they've got a lot of depth running back right now, don't they? I mean, this is what I'm about to say is crazy, but if you don't have Rojo, you just opened, a chunk on the salary cap to bring in someone else who's willing to come in at the veteran minimum.
Well,
who could that be?
If you draft another depth running back piece to replace Rojo in the rotation, and because we talked about this last week, as far as our skilled the receivers we have and the skill we have at that set, but Larry Fitzgerald was still in the conversation, and I think it was Greg Allman talking with you the other night. Great interview you had with him.
Thank you.
Thank you. But he touches on the fact that that's another player in the room that you're going to have 52 other guys, 51 other guys. Maybe Gronk and Brady don't count because they've been to a few of these rodeos. But you're going to have young guys who have grown up just admiring and loving what Larry Fitzgerald, the kind of guy he is, the kind of player he is, the way he hones his craft. And you get a guy like him to come to your team, and you want to win that guy a ring. You want to be the team that helped that veteran that's going into the Hall of Fame finally get the final piece of the puzzle, being that Super Bowl championship.
Right.
So maybe something like this with Gio coming in at running back, and it allows the Bucs to play around a little bit. Larry Fitzgerald's still out there. So.
Well, and I want to point something out that Teresa said here. She said trade Howard. Teresa, I don't think that's happening. I may be wrong. They may be blowing smoke, just trying to build up his value by saying how good he looks and how excited they are. It's not going to happen. I think they believe that O.J. Howard can be something special with Brady. I think they feel like O.J. Howard can take some of the physical pressure off of Gronk, so that Gronk's not getting beat up constantly, but O.J. Howard can take some of that punishment. I think they have plans for him and needs for him. I don't know that trading him is going to happen. I understand the thinking. I
tell you what, you go back to the 2004, you go back to the Patriots when they had both a much younger and healthier Gronk, but they had that tight end Hernandez out of Florida Gators. And that tight end Hernandez is basically almost, I don't want to say a clone of an O.J. Howard, but he had a lot of the same physical attributes.
Yeah, you don't want to say he's a clone.
No, you don't want to be a clone.
Not of O.J. Howard. Not of Aaron Hernandez.
No, but a size banger inside that has the hands and speed of a receiver, but the size of a tight end. And you'd like to see what this Buccaneers team would look like. And I'm not taking away from Cam Brady, the sure hands across the middle, but you'd like to see what this, to go ahead and give Tom Brady those two.
Yeah.
Because, and here's the thing about O.J. Howard. If he does work out, we picked up his fifth-year option, and he still plays ball like his. He was deserving of a first-round pick. He just hasn't shown it in his 4 years here. But if Gronk decides to go ahead and leave next year because he's got maybe another ring, or he decides he's going to put him up, then all of a sudden, if you don't have Gronk, you don't have OJ here, and Gronk leaves. Now you have Cam Brate, and that now all of a sudden your tight end room goes from a strength to a weakness as far as depth's concerned.
Right. Well, and I sort of have I believe that what Nick here is saying is, I think OJ has a breakout year. I get the feeling that's coming. I get the feeling they want him to, because they want to take the pressure off the other tight ends, and they want to add different dimensions to the game that they don't have right now. And I just think he opens up so many possibilities. Think about it. Who do you cover?
No.
And I mean, you can rotate them in. You can, they're coming in, they're going out. Here comes this guy, here goes that guy. You've got you can look at the defense and figure out, okay, let's put this guy in, let's do that, let's bring. And how confusing does it have to be, being a defensive coordinator looking across and going, oh my God, what? I mean, what? That's got to be the way that it's going to be, because this team, it's one thing after another after another. Now, Nick does say something here that's very, very true. Special teams, we need help.
Yes.
And the problem is, I actually think you lack some depth when it comes to special teams, because you've got all these great guys that are starting. I mean, you're almost figuring all of your draft picks are going to have to be special teams guys, including your first round pick.
Right, and that might just be it. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
No, I was going to say is that the thing about with O.J. Howard now, if you put O.J., you have Gronk and him both blocking on both sides, but then you have them both going out into some real good running some really good routes underneath, or even over the top in some instances, with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and Scotty Miller. And then the defense, just when they think they might be able to bring 15 or 16 defenders on the field to try to stop them, now all of a sudden you've got Gino Bernard coming out of the backfield on his swing pass, and you've got tight ends that were going out initially in a route that are now going to be basically 250-pound, 6'5" blockers downfield.
Right. That's what I mean about how this team. This is what I find phenomenal, is that this team, everybody's so excited about who has signed. We're not done yet. And people need to wrap your mind around the fact that this team's not done yet. And that's frightening. This team could be one of the best teams. It certainly looks to be the best team the Buccaneers have ever had. Could that be wrong? Of course. Listen, it's a long season. It's a war of attrition. We don't know what's about to happen. But, the upside for this team is the best team that they have had, that the Buccaneers have ever had, and that's exciting because you just won a Super Bowl, and there's gonna be more guys knocking on the door saying, "Let me in."
And what's so exciting is, we always go back. Let's go back to Super Bowl 37. We had the best defense in the NFL.
Yep.
And we had an offense that came together with Michael Pittman and Joe Jurevicius and Brad Johnson, and we were pounding the rock, and we did it. And we got it done. But we didn't have an offense with the weapons, and with the second year now with all these players coming in together. And now and I'm not comparing this defense yet to that 2002 defense, but I'd say they're pretty darn close as far as the skill positions and what they can do. But now when you couple them with an offense that should be, no doubt, should be or can be anywhere in the top 10, and you couple that with a defense that already finds themselves for the last couple of years sitting in, on, and around the top 10, and you put those two units together,
Nine points in the Super Bowl.
They
gave up 9 points in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. Now, hold on. I'm not done. And now they're going to get better.
Yes.
That's terrifying.
That's, if you're any other team in the league beside Tampa Bay, that is a terrifying. That's keeping a lot of offensive coordinators up at night.
It keeps me up at night, just excited.
Yeah. Well, the thing to me is I saw how good of a defense the San Francisco 49ers had back in the 80s, because that Bill Walsh West Coast style offense had the other team's defense running around the field and couldn't be stopped. So by the time the other offense would get the ball, they're already in the hole trying to figure something out. And it lets the defense, sometimes they take a little more risk, sometimes they take more risks, sometimes they can play more aggressively. But with this Buccaneers defense, when you're talking about Devin White, Levante David, JPP, and Vita Vea, and Shaq Barrett, playing aggressively, it isn't a fool's errand for them. These guys, this is how they play.
Right.
So this is just one of the reasons why 2021 is just going to continue to we're going to, like I said the other night with you, and you and Johnny Dean and I were talking, that we start the season with wheels already up this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, golly, man, OTAs are coming like next week.
Yes.
I mean, that's amazing. Listen, Nick just said, can we find another All-Star? Let me say this. No, we cannot, because they don't make them anymore. They just don't make them anymore. The running style, the offensive styles of the games, it does not fit what they have now. You can't find another All-Star. I wish you could find another All-Star. He's one of my favorite Buccaneers of all time. I have amazing memories of Mike All-Star, but those days have kind of, I think, gone by the wayside. Am I wrong about that, Ray?
No, and here's the thing, because so many offenses at the college level have now went to these pro style offenses. Now you still have your Air Force, you still have your college team that run a wishbone or a T formation. You still have your teams that'll have, a tight end size fullback. But don't forget, with Mike Allstott, not only did that guy had the balance of a cat. I never saw Allstott. Allstott could fall from a tree and he'd fall on his legs.
Yeah, no, he was just a freak of nature in every way. How he can be fast, huge, mean. I mean, built like a tank. I mean, have you ever seen a fast tank?
Yes.
That's what you're dealing with there.
With hands that were soft that could catch the football.
Yeah.
But this offense that we're going to run now, we don't need that fullback. I mean, you could bring in a Vita Vea in a jumbo package, or you could bring in a Tristan Wirfs, and you could run a jumbo package, and they're not going to be obviously nothing like what you had when you had the A-Train running out. But you could bring in a big fullback on those short yardage situations. But as far as the way this pro set style offense is run, this what Byron Leftwich has put together here, we would be doing ourselves a disservice trying to find a pure fullback to come into this team, because it would take away from the other skill positions, because we're already going to have 14 skill positions on the field at one time anyway.
Right. Mike DeRoche, Mike, it's your turn. Here we go. Mike DeRoche asked a question. I want to get your feedback on this. Mike DeRoche said, I have a question. Is Edelman a Hall of Famer?
Wow. That's a tough call.
That is, isn't it? Okay. My feeling is yes. But I don't look at, I don't know. Now, the moment I said yes, I started going, well, no. I'm going to guess he's going to go because he was on those teams with that quarterback throwing to him.
Yeah.
And that's going to make a big, big, big difference. But do I think he's the prototypical Hall of Famer? No, not even close.
Well, and what's funny is that let's just say let's get number 2. Let's go ahead and let's get 3, but let's get number 2 here, 56 out there in SoFi out in California this year. But even when Tom goes in, even when Gronkowski goes in, and they're gonna sign one-day contracts and retire as a Patriot. We get that. That's the way this thing works. We don't have a problem with that. But the truth of the matter is, especially for the younger fans that are even coming of age now and into the next year or two, they're going to always be Buccaneers in their hearts because they're going to be like, hey, they were with us. They won in Lombardi when we beat the Chiefs, 31-9 in Super
I want to throw
Bowl
a curveball at you about one thing you just said.
Go ahead.
We know that Brady's going to go back and sign a one-day contract with the Patriots. I want to say something. I think the jury's still out on that. And let me tell you why. Well, here's the reason why. Okay? I think you're more than likely correct. But let me propose a little something. Okay?
Right.
The Bucs win back-to-back Super Bowls. The Bucs go maybe even back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls.
Right.
Okay? Maybe the Bucs have an undefeated season.
Right.
What does Brady do?
Yeah. That's
so I think the jury is still out. I think you're most likely correct, but I don't think that's a sewn up, decided deal yet.
Well, you mentioned that, and it's like, if they do the undefeated season and run it all the way through, and of course don't get beat by the New York Giants this time, which they did back in 2011, but of course that wouldn't happen this time because the Giants are in our conference. But you think about running a perfect season and winning that Super Bowl, and then it would be this group of Buccaneers. It would be, these 53 guys would be the ones that every year they get together and they break open a bottle of champagne every time.
How awesome would that be? How awesome would that be? I mean, as a Buccaneers fan,
awesome.
Okay, so here's the deal. On this show in general, I don't like to get a big panel of people coming on at one time, but I'm going to do this as an exception for a reason. I'm going to bring Harry the Greek on here for a reason because the two of you host a show together on Wednesday nights, and it's kind of cool to have the two of you on here together. I feel like that's a lot of fun. Harry, I want to ask you a question. First of all, I want to ask you, is Edelman a Hall of Famer?
He could be. He's won a couple of Super Bowls back in New England with Brady.
Yeah, I think 3 of them.
Do I think he has the numbers to be a Hall of Famer? Probably not, but they've brought in less to the Hall of Fame. Doesn't necessarily about the numbers. You could say the same thing about a lot of Super Bowl teams from San Francisco to Dallas, and there was a lot of deserving players that didn't make it to the Hall of Fame. And so I'm going to probably I'm going to plug my show here when I say this. The under.
You're going to go with the under? Okay.
I'm going to go with the under there.
Now, one thing I want to ask you guys about that I brought it up a little bit earlier. I don't know if you read it in the Tampa Bay Times, but Gerald McCoy is back at it again, talking about wanting to come back to Tampa. He's saying for sure he wants to play somewhere. But he mentioned, again, I'm still in contact with the Glazers. I still talk to Bruce. I've talked to him this year. I would love to come back and play and win a Super Bowl with those guys. And that, even if I have to play in a backup role, he said all of that. Okay, I understand I've been injured. Even if I'm just a mentor, even if I'm just in a locker room guy, even if I'm not only do I think he plays the wrong kind of defense, the thing that I just don't like about him is his mouth, Brendan. And that's the thing that bothers me more than anything. It's always been his mouth. It's exactly, and I'm going to say it, I brought it up earlier with Dennis Phillips. The thing that I don't like about him is the same thing I didn't like about Jameis. Sometimes it's like, just stop talking. Just stop. And that's where I think he loses it. You know, get out there, work your butt off, do what you got to do. When's the last time you heard Ndamukong Suh running his mouth off? You know, or you know, apologizing to a quarterback or running his mouth off in the off season. You don't. And look, okay, everybody, there are different personalities. People talk differently. People express themselves differently, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Okay, but after how many years? 10 years in the league or whatever it's been now, and you still really, your greatest accomplishment, honestly, is that you were named by the other players to the top 100 players. That's really kind of your greatest accomplishment. You were one of the top 100 in a popularity contest. I don't know. It just, that this bothers me.
I'll tell you, when he left here, he had red backside, and I covered this in an article I wrote on Bucs Report, and then of course I followed it up a week later with what the hell was he thinking, because he went on that show with Sharp and Skip Bayless and them, and he was talking about how he thought that his number should have been held, and he was already for sure in the Ring of Honor, and I thought, that's when he. Right, and that's when he started. But don't forget, Rick, though, for the 7 years he played here, every reporter went in the locker room, the first locker they went to was Gerald McCoy, because
talking.
Well, and he was talking, but generally he was usually talking, you know, trying to make up an excuse for what happened. You know, oh, this is what happened. We didn't stop him. I didn't do this and do that. Now, you're right. I mean, in the last 2 years, he's done a lot of jaw flapping, and
running through Carolina's football stadium saying, "I'm home."
I'm home. Yeah.
So then when he says, "I want to come back home," I say, "Go back to Carolina."
Well, I agree with you, though, Rick, that he doesn't play the type of position that we can. And here's the thing: even if the NFL, they still haven't really laid out all the rules for 2021, because, you know, in 2020 they allowed us to keep veterans on the practice squad. They had an extended practice squad, so, you know, it wasn't just those 53 spots and a 5-man practice squad. So, because he doesn't play the same type of a defense, I don't know how he would fit in as far as a depth piece. Plus, we have Nunez Roches back. We have Vita Vea.
That's why I feel the same way. I think it's a sentimental thing. I think it's just it's sentiment getting in the way of what's really good for the team. I think it's people who are, you know, you're sentimental. Look, man, somebody who went through all that tragedy with the Buccaneers. I mean, I even think he was there wasn't he there for Schiano? I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, he's been through all that tragedy with the Buccaneers and all that horror, and he's, you know, he wants to come back now and win with them. And I get the sentiment. It's sentimental. It's a warm, fuzzy thing about, you know, wow, he'd get to celebrate here after all. But I want what's best for this team. I want to win now. I don't want to. Yeah. I'm not here to just try to make the guy feel good. I want to win, and you have to separate that. You know, that feeling, I guess, of what's sentimental or what you want, and that's why I said the same thing about for instance, Rojo. To me, Rojo, the name is marketable. Rojo. Who doesn't like that? You know, you're going to like that guy, right? But really, what's he done? He had a great run, that 98-yard run. That was phenomenal. It'll be something I'll remember forever. You know, as a Bucs fan, I'm going to remember that play. Like I said, there are other players like McCoy that I can't remember any play that they did. I've got a play that I can always remember for him. But I just don't feel like, that's the guy. I feel like this is the word that I would use. I think it's the perfect word to describe him. Serviceable.
Ooh.
And that's, Yeah. But
Ouch.
You see where I'm coming from on that, though, Harry?
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from on that, but that's a little harsh. The guy almost ran for 1,000 yards. That's a little bit more than serviceable. I would think
that's 62.5 yards per game is 1,000 yards.
Still, there's a lot of running backs in football that don't even average that, especially for a team. Again, and great opinion, especially for a team that doesn't have a run first mentality.
Yeah.
That's still a lot of
yards.
Well,
they didn't at the beginning of the year. They did by the end of the year.
Well, at the end of the year, especially into the playoffs, they were only running it, if I'm not mistaken, and don't correct me because I'm almost positive I reported on it. It was 23% of the times on first downs on the last 4 games of the season, which was last by over 10 percentage points on first down. But when in the first round of the playoffs came in, by the time the playoffs were done, they were running it almost 31% of the times.
No, I believe it completely.
I think Ray might remember that. And the National Football League's average was almost 40%. So during the season, they were a full 20 points back of what the NFL average was.
Yeah, they were half of what the NFL average was. Right.
But then they kind of climbed up and they got that margin back there. So serviceable is a little harsh, I would think, personally, especially for a guy that ran for like 960 yards.
But when they climbed back up, he wasn't the running back. That's when Fournette started getting the duties.
Well, Fournette was going to get cut from the team, or he was going to quit. Ray, I think you remember a little bit more about that than I do. That would probably be right in your wheelhouse. And then one thing led to another, but they had to rely on Fournette a little bit more in the playoffs because if everybody remembers correctly, he had a hamstring. He had a hamstring, and they had the finger that was in a cast, so he was kind of limited to catching passes. I haven't really had a chance to listen to too much of the show tonight. I had to work kind of late this evening. And, since you're talking about Rojo, I mean, what a great signing with Giovani Bernard. But I mean,
it's like hand in glove. It fits this team so beautifully.
It really does because he's a good pass catching receiver. I mean, a pass catching running back, but he's going to be filling a very similar role, in my opinion, like they had with what was his name? They got rid of him. Ray, help me here, my brain.
Well, Shady McCoy, but
with Shady McCoy, but I think he'll get a little bit more reps than what Shady McCoy did. He's going to be more. Yeah, he's going to be more of a situational running back.
You gotta love Shady McCoy. Yeah, you gotta love Shady McCoy. The guy 2 years in a row, almost the exact same thing. He signs with a team. He plays the first 2 games with the team, then goes and sits on the bench, and you never see the guy again. And he goes home with the Super Bowl ring. I mean, that's 2 years in a row. I mean that he pulled that off. It's a funny little thing with him. Good for him.
He's got very little mileage on his wheels, right?
Yeah. Guys, here's the thing for me though, is that I heard somebody mention it tonight in the show whether they think that Rojo might be draft day trade material, and there are teams. Now, and the only reason why I say that is because if you trade away that $1 million Rojo, that salary that Rojo's going to have, because you like Leonard Fournette and Gio Bernard, and then also working in Keyshawn Vaughn. And then maybe even picking up a 4th or a 5th round running back just for depth. That could be a piece that actually opens up. And I'm not putting Rojo down. I'm not saying if he's on this squad come September, I'm disappointed. I'm just saying that if the guys in the room, the coaches that make those decisions, if they feel that Leonard Fournette's going to be your bell cow running back, and Keyshawn Vaughn has shown enough that he's ready to come into his 2nd year, and you're coming in with an eighth year veteran, and because that's the thing about Bernard, he's great with hands out of the backfield, but he's not a one-trick pony. He's also a very good running back.
Right.
You know what, Ray? You might be onto something there, because when they signed Leonard Fournette, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, Leonard Fournette's biggest thing was he not only wanted to get paid, but he wanted to be the featured running back.
Right.
And after what I've alluded to, and actually, no, not alluded to, actually what I stated was being the team that doesn't run the ball first and didn't have that run first mentality, having to go ahead and split the carries between 2 running backs, now even 3. There might be something that he was told saying, yes, you're going to be the mainstay as the running back. But how do we know they're not saying that to to Rojo as well. Could Rojo be trade bait? Possibly. But don't forget, so could Leonard Fournette.
I'm guessing Fournette. First of all, it's going to be hard to get much trade value from either one, seeing as how there's they both signed a 1-year contract, and I'm betting Fournette has a no trade in that contract. I don't know for sure, but call it a bet.
Over or under?
I would definitely say over.
Okay. Okay.
Now, I want to point out something else. Speaking of trade bait, now here you go, Harry. Let me ask you, what are your thoughts on this? Teddy Bridgewater, does he make it through day 1 of the draft as a Carolina Panther?
Ooh, now you're taking everything away from Ray and I on Wednesday night, because that's what I'm going to say. Can we save it for then?
You can hold it till then. I'll give my opinion and everybody else's. But
all right. What do you think, Ray?
Right?
I'm sorry, Rick. What do you think?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't
okay.
ask for Ray. What do you think, Rick?
What do I think? I don't think there's any way he makes it through day 1 of the draft. I think a trade's going to happen either before the draft or on day 1. More likely, I'm going to say probably on day 1 of the draft. But I don't see it happening. I don't think he's going for a first-round pick, but I think it'll happen on the first day of the draft.
Who, Teddy Bridgewater?
Yes.
I think Teddy Bridgewater, if he's going to get dealt, it's not going to be dealt during the draft, in my opinion. I think it'll be done before the draft, and I have him going probably to the Denver Broncos being a primary team. And you ready for this, Tampa fans? Possibly right here.
Yeah, because if he gets traded, then whatever team picks him up has to eat that entire $17 million contract.
Correct.
And
if he gets traded, no, that's not true.
How's it not? Well,
that is not true. No,
Carolina eats some.
Well, and that's what would be part of the trade for sure. Yeah. Probably a team would get him for about $5 million. There would be, what would happen is this: they would tell Bridgewater, "We're going to cut you if you do not accept this trade, and you'll get paid $5 million or so by the team you go to. We will pay you another $5." That's the same thing as if we cut you. However, you can go renegotiate your contract and get more years now.
I think a 5th-round pick gets it done for Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe a 4th.
Or Teddy Bridgewater, if you don't want to accept this trade, you can do what most people or a lot of pundits are starting to believe.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, right. You can do what a lot of pundits are starting to believe. You could just get cut by us. We're going to have to eat $9 million in your contract. You can go make $1.5 million in Tampa Bay, and guess what? You can show us 2 times a year how wrong we were, and you can go back and beat the Saints 2 times a year and show them how good you are as you pick up your first World Championship ring, and then in 2022. Whether you play or not, just to be on the team and be in the rooms. Then in 2022, you can go out and get yourself a really good contract and less guys here bury the lead, unless it's the Bucs that decide to offer him because Tom likes the kid and decides that we need to have a second quarterback when Tom leaves a year after that.
So I think it's far more likely if he gets released and they eat the $10 million, that I find it far more likely that he would go to New Orleans than he would come here, because he could sign back to New Orleans cheaply, and I'll bet you anything, Sean Payton's going, Teddy, come on back and talk. I bet you that would happen because they could get him dirt cheap. He'd still be getting paid.
He'd be back in the system again.
And it fits, right? You know that he can play the system. He knows the system. It's an easy way for him to step in. And he's already had the success there. Peyton knows him, and it also solves a problem for the Saints with their salary cap issues because Carolina's paying the salary basically.
And the part about that I love just hands down the most.
What's that?
Then it makes me look like a genius because I'm the one that originally said that Jameis Winston should come back to Tampa Bay and back up Tom Brady. And
God, no.
Do you think Jameis is going to stay there? Now he's got to battle Taysom Hill and Bridgewater's coming back for the starting job. Jameis is going to sit there and just act good.
He doesn't have an option if he's under contract. It's not a matter of what do you think he's going to do? Yes, he's going to sit there, collect his check, and then leave next year. But what's he going to do?
They're going to pay him $5 million with an escalation of $12 million, with Taysom already making $16 million, and bringing Teddy Bridgewater.
No, they'll cut him.
Another 10.
Right, they'll cut him.
They'll cut who? Afford that.
to cut Jameis?
No. I'm just saying they can't afford to have all those quarterbacks. And then,
That's what I'm saying.
No, I think they may cut Jameis.
And then that's when just Jason Light
Right.
calls and says, "You've been done so wrong, Jameis." And guess what? The goat needs an extra tender for the
man, I feel like Gerald McCoy all over again. Here we
you never
go.
asked me about Gerald McCoy.
No, I know, but let's go ahead and bring back. You know what? You know who I feel really, really bad for?
No.
Crap, I gotta give his name already. The kicker that we drafted. Aguayo. Let's go ahead and bring him back. It's just to let him get I feel bad for Aguayo. Let's bring him back. I mean, what are we doing? No. Listen close. I want to say this just really, really quick, guys. I want to say this. When those guys were on our team, we sucked.
That's okay. When they went to different teams, they sucked too, because when Aguayo went to the Bears, when I watched him in preseason, I was like, oh my God, this guy can kick a ball 70 yards through the upright. Oh my God, this guy's like automatic. The first game they put him in, it was a 23-yard chip shot. It wasn't cold in Chicago, and there was like a little wind. Okay, it didn't even make it to the upright.
Well, I don't remember him. I know. I mean, he's got a strong enough leg. It's just no accuracy.
Not during the game, he didn't. Oh my God,
no accuracy. I mean, it was just.
Hey, fellas, I got a guy here I got to talk to. I'm going to check out for right now, but thanks for having me,
Okay.
brothers. I'll talk to you soon.
You got to have a great night, Ray.
Thanks, brother.
And so here's the deal, Harry. Tell everybody all about your show tomorrow night, and then we are going to call it a night. So tell everybody.
I'd love to say it was tomorrow night.
Or Wednesday night.
It's Wednesday night. 8:30, 9 o'clock. It's the over-under with Harry the Greek and Tampa Bay, best of the Bay, Mr. Ray Kennedy itself, where we're going to talk about a whole bunch of things from gambling to any kind of sport you want. Not polo, though. I'm only kidding. Talking Buccaneer footballs. We're going to talk about the upcoming baseball lines that are going to be coming up. And, hey, we're going to even give some spreads, some future bets for the NFL.
Wow. Awesome. Very, very cool. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, Rick. Thanks for having me on.
Yep, you too. Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome having him on there. Having those guys on there, that's a special treat. Guys, all of you tonight, all of you in the pandemonium there, thank you so much in the pandemonium. You guys raised the level again, and that's a lot of fun for me. Keeping up with that and watching everything you guys read. When you guys see me looking down over here, that's what I'm doing is I'm reading your comments. And making sure, I mean, I am keeping up with with the stuff you guys are saying. Listen, guys, you guys mean a lot. This has been a fun show tonight, and I think we got a good, fun future here on the Bucs Report show. So keep coming back, keep bringing it regularly, and we'll keep getting better. I really appreciate it, and I'm telling you guys right now, next time on a Friday night when we're here at 9 o'clock, let me tell you what I want from you guys. When I say it's your turn, it's your freaking turn. Step up, and I want to hear from you guys. I really do. Some of you new folks, I want to hear from you. Quit chickening out, Tim Witherspoon. Okay, I want to hear from you guys. Tim, you're awesome in chat. I love your comments in chat. I want to hear you. Come on one night. All right, guys, you are all awesome. All of you parrots. Now listen, guys, I want to say this, all of you in the parrot army and everything, I want to say go check out bucksreportgear.shop. There's all kinds of fun, cool gear that's there for you. Hats, shirts, mugs, dog bowls, cat bowls, all kinds of things for you. There's all kinds of gear for you for Bucs Report. Thank you for supporting us. It means a lot. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow night at 8:30. We're going to go back live from the cheap seat. Or no, I'm sorry. What's Cooking in the South? We're going to go What's Cooking in the South. It's the intersection of food and football. And if you know me at all, if you could see me at all, I'm a fan of both food and football. So I want to thank both of you, thank all of you for tuning in tomorrow night. Both of you, please tune in, and I look forward to seeing you guys. And then Sunday night, once again, live from the cheap seats. Thank you guys. Have a great night. Go Bucs.